Tales from the streets.
All right, welcome back for another episode of Street Tales, and I am very honored because I had the opportunity to meet our guest in a group that I am very passionate about, and I met her, and from the moment I met her, I was so excited, and then somehow I lost her phone number. So thankfully, we crossed paths again here in the beginning of 2026, and I was able to lock her in as fast as I could to get her on our podcast because we always say that we talk to first responders, not just law enforcement officers, but we haven't
Yep.
had a lot of opportunity to talk to corrections officers. So we have Miss Janelle Thomas. She has a background in corrections up in New York. She's going to go through and talk to
Ooh.
us about the various prisons and correctional facilities that she worked in. She also had some background in rolling out some very interesting programming when it comes to mental health. And that's something that Street Tales Network is very, very passionate about. And along with that, she now has a new role at the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, where she is taking what she learned in her role as a corrections officer and applying that in this new position of dealing with people who are in crisis, namely first responders. So thank you, Ms. Thomas, for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Of
Thank you,
course.
ma'am.
Mhm.
So I know when I spoke with you, you told me, like you said, your background was in corrections facilities in New York State, and you worked for several, but most of your career was at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. And I thought, this is why I wanted to have someone on. And then I thought the other caveat, I didn't say this either, Tyler. Most of her career was in a women's correctional facility, which the few
Yeah.
people we have talked to have been either juvenile or other places.
Mix,
So
yeah.
I think that adds another layer that can be very different. She
Mhm.
had a lot of, in talking to her, she gave me some insight that there were some high profile inmates that were in her prison as well that we're going to dive into. And then the transition, like I said, from law enforcement into the crisis. But to get us there, we like to always start with talking about what got you to that career path. So if you could tell us a little bit about where you grew up, what your childhood was like, can we start there and kind of go through?
Okay. I'm not a young girl. I'm young still, but I
Yes,
was
Yeah.
you are.
born in the 70s, 1977. Um, I grew up in Manhattan. My mom, my dad, me and my brother. I have a younger brother. Um, it was a pretty good family life, home life. Um, No family's perfect, of course.
Of
My
course.
dad was like Mr. Mom. He didn't really work. He was kind of a hustler. Um, but he did the dinners, the homework, picking
Oh,
up, dropping off at school, things like that. But, he was an alcoholic and he also had a drug problem.
hmm
So when those
Okay.
two mixed together, of
right.
course, it, was problems in the household. And he also would hit my mother.
Okay.
So that is the environment that I grew up in. It really didn't affect me until like pre-teenage years.
Hmm.
Um, and it was just like I said, normal family life with the flaws of my dad. And when my mom decided to leave, now I'm living with a single mom.
Got
Me and
it.
my brother, and I was always studious in school, did everything I needed to do. Um, I had my first child at 19. So it was pretty much like, okay, I'm looking for a job. Like I grew up in New York City, of course.
Right.
So
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
looking for a job with stability, longevity, benefits that I can raise my kids and be comfortable.
Hmm.
I get it.
So
I
that
get it.
is how my life began. So I kind of was just taking all these state and city exams to see what I could get.
Yeah.
So I
Let me ask you a
landed.
couple.
Mhm.
Was your first job in corrections?
No, I did security for a
Hmm.
while, for a few years, and I did loss prevention for 10 years.
So hold on, hold on.
So,
So you were always interested in the security, like law enforcement, even law enforcement adjacent careers? Was that just something you
mm,
fell into, or you were interested in it?
I actually, yes, I definitely was interested. I wanted
Huh.
to be an NYPD officer.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to be a detective. That's what I wanted to
Oh,
do.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm heavy into investigations and I even like forensics. But
Yeah.
it was like once I knew that I had to, okay, take a test, be on the beat for a while before I can get into those fields, I was like, I really don't want to be on the beat.
Yeah, yeah.
that's
I was
fair.
like,
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no test to just be a detective? No? Oh, okay. So,
Yeah. You
Can
know,
I just
I'm
skip
telling
and
my
take the
I'm
detective
telling my
test?
daughter the same thing because she's like, "I just wanna
Mhm.
be a homicide detective." I'm like, "Yeah, I get it. There's a
mm-mm.
lot of steps between,
Yeah.
getting in and being a a detective."
Can I just
Mhm.
take that test? I love it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah,
So,
and I also
first
have
let me
some family that are in corrections. I didn't know that
Oh,
until
oh,
I
okay.
got older and I went to take these exams because the family didn't talk about that, you know?
Oh,
The my family didn't talk about their careers in law enforcement. They just didn't. So
why?
I never knew.
Mm,
I have no clue.
Okay.
They just
okay.
didn't. They just kept it kinda separate.
That's
Hmm.
very interesting. So,
Mhm,
first, I want to say thank you for being, because I think sometimes people think, oh, I don't want to share because I don't want, but I think that it is important. This is where I go back and say you have to know your why and what your reasoning
Mhm.
was, that
mhm,
lands you in this career field, because it is something that has to be personal. It can't be something like,
mhm,
I just want to help people, because you realize quickly in this job that sometimes you're not helping and sometimes it's the same people and that can kind of wear on you. So, I thank you for sharing like you did
mhm,
in that respect. When it came
Yeah.
to, like you said, your mom and dad wasn't perfect. Nobody's, family life is. Um,
mhm.
when you went into this career path, or was that something when you were a teen that you were like, this is what I want to do? So your family kind of knew it was coming? Or did you just not
Um,
discuss it like the rest of your family?
I No, I mean, they knew. My mom knew I was taking these state and citywide exams because the goal was those type of jobs are you have to take exams in New York City,
Right.
Yeah.
and you have to pass. And the waiting list is like a year before you can even start the process of
Right.
investigating and background checks and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
when I actually did get into corrections, I was 26, 27.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Okay.
And I
Okay.
already had my second child. My daughter was 2 years old when I went
Oh,
into the
okay.
academy.
Uh,
Wow.
Mhm,
Ms. Thomas,
mhm,
we've had a couple people on from New York, and they've talked about the test. And I failed to ask, but I'm gonna ask you, how do you feel about that process? The testing and the waiting, because not every state is like that.
mhm. Um, I feel like it's pretty thorough.
Mhm.
I love the memory portion because it's like, they give you a blank piece of paper and, they'll say they'll give you like 5 or 10 minutes, scan the room or whatever, and then they'll just ask you, "What is it that you saw?"
Mhm.
Like,
Oh,
something as simple as the time on the clock, you wouldn't think would be one of those questions, and it was.
Mhm.
And,
okay.
I just love that portion of it.
Okay.
Um, the psychological part of it is a little ridiculous because I think it's like 1,500 questions,
Oh,
and
Lord, no.
they're
That's a
asking you, like,
SAT.
same question in different ways. Any way
Yeah.
you could think of, it's the same
Ugh.
question. It's like,
Yeah.
you gotta catch yourself.
Yeah.
Well, so
Mhm,
so more, I appreciate that. More like not
mhm,
every state does the testing. I'm familiar
mhm,
with New York, New Jersey, I think Chicago and Massachusetts. It's like you got to take multiple tests, you got to do rankings. It could be 4 or 5 years before you know anything. But
Wow.
mhm,
those are but they're highly sought after.
Yeah.
People want them. Then you go to other
mhm,
states, and I'm not here to bash on any states, but they're like, "Hey, just apply, please. We're looking," like they're dying for bodies, right?
Yeah.
And there's not
yes.
this massive wait. But here we
Mhm,
are in New York, like what you just described, and it's like, oh, you're gonna wait, year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. It's all this testing, but like they have so many applicants, that they can afford for people to wait. It's
Yeah, and
interesting.
it's like
That's
if your
right.
score is not high enough, if you scored
Yeah.
like a 70 is passing. So if you scored a 70 for corrections, it pretty fairly was like a year
Yeah.
before
Oh,
I could even start anything. Like I
okay.
found out if I passed or not within a couple of months of taking the test, and by the time that year came, then I was getting my Canvas letter to come
Okay.
in and
Oh,
do this agility test or do this physical, and then the appointments are like 2 weeks back to back.
oh,
And then
okay.
you finally, once you get through everything and the background check is for like the past 10 years, it's very thorough.
Okay.
You get an investigator,
Yeah.
it's very thorough,
Yeah.
and then it's
Yeah.
like you're going in the academy. Hmm.
Interesting.
Oh, I don't want to get bogged down on that, Mo. Sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
just
fine.
it's something I just popped in my head.
And I told her, I
It's
said, we are so
okay.
interested in how things are done in New York. That's so different, with,
Mhm.
us being here in Florida and Tyler being in the federal system. It's very, very different. So very
Mhm.
interesting to us. So thank you for being patient with us.
Yeah,
No problem.
Yeah, hold on, Mo, real quick. Just so you know, Miss Thomas, I've said it a few times before, but I've been through 5 academies, and
Mhm.
every time, and actually 3 federal ones, and every single time the instructors go, "All right, we're going to talk about the law, the DOJ, however things work," and they go, "Anybody going to New York?" And whoever raised their hands, he goes, "This doesn't apply to you. It's very different. You guys do things different than everybody else in the United States. So good luck. You'll figure it out." And then we keep it moving.
Oh, wow.
I'm for real.
That's hilarious.
Mm.
Yeah.
I want to go back because when you were talking about your family, I know for me, it was a lot of the drive as to why I got into law enforcement. Do you
Mhm.
think that your family dynamic um, is part of your drive to want to have gotten into corrections or law, in the that field, that law enforcement field?
I believe so for the structure.
Okay.
I think the structure plays a major part in it.
Okay.
Mhm.
I can
Mhm.
understand. Very cool. So
Mhm.
now you've taken the test and you go through all of and forgive me, I'm going to ask you to if you can explain this a little bit. Once you've taken the test and you go through all of doing the agility and the psych and doing all those things, and is it one particular agency in New York that offers you a job, or now are you available to go and apply at whatever agency you want to go to?
No, when you take an exam specifically for New York State corrections, you
Mm-hmm.
belong to New York State.
Got it.
Got
Okay.
So
it.
any of New York State's prison systems,
You
um,
can land in.
yeah, you don't have a choice. They give you a
Got it.
wish list. They give you a wish list. You can pick up to 10.
Oh,
Everybody's gonna try to get as close to home as they can.
Mm-hmm.
But me
oh
living in the
wow.
Bronx, I could end up in Albany,
Oh,
working in
Wow.
Albion or Ulster
yeah.
County or any of those facilities. If you don't have a car, you need to get one. I didn't have one.
Yeah.
I I carpooled with my bunkie. We happen to have the same bunkie. I had the same bunkie every week when we came back off
Right.
the weekends, and she lived in the Bronx. We carpooled together, and when I got out, it was around income tax time, and it was like, okay, let me go get this hoopty because they shipped me to Fishkill, New York. So that was an hour and a half away from the Bronx. So
Oof.
Oh
Oof.
wow.
That's
That
rough.
see,
I had to do that
that
drive
didn't
every
even
day.
cross my mind to have to that's another layer to add to it because, you know,
Yeah.
again, here in Florida, if you go to apply for a correction job, you either go to the local county jail, and you're applying
Mhm.
directly to that county, or you're going to apply to the state prison. But I don't know. I mean, maybe they do have it that way. That's wild. I didn't even think about that. And in New York,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
you guys have a great mass transit system, so a lot of people don't have cars.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yes.
So, what prison you started out, you said, in what was the city again?
I was in Fishkill, New York.
Fishkill.
Fishkill?
Okay.
I've never heard of
Yeah,
that.
so
That's wild.
No.
the correctional facility is called Fishkill Correctional
Oh, okay.
Facility. It's
Okay.
a medium men's facility.
Okay.
Yeah, so I
Oh,
was there. for about 3 months, and then
Okay.
I got closer to home, and I landed in Bedford Hills, and I've been there most of my career.
Okay. So
Mhm.
they will move you. Is it with us? We do like what we call a bid once a year. Is it every
Mhm.
3 months you guys rotate, or it just happened to be they needed to move you out because they needed you at the other prison at Bedford Hills?
No, what happens is with the wish list,
Okay.
like your top 3, you'll
Hmm.
end up with one of those.
Okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't get I didn't get the ones closer to home, but the next one up was Fishkill, so I ended up there. So it was like once they reached your name on the list to get transferred,
Oh,
that's when you'll start getting closer to where you wanna be.
Got it.
okay.
So it took me
So
3 months.
I mean, that's a lot if you don't have a car. It's a
Mm,
lot.
And that's 3 hours added to your day.
Oh,
mhm.
Lord.
that's true. Ooh.
Yes.
And do you guys work 12-hour shifts at this time when you get hired on?
No, you're typically scheduled for an 8-hour shift, but they tell you be prepared to be mandated for 16 hours. It's no guarantee. It's no guarantee
What?
that you're gonna leave after 8 hours. Mhm.
That's
Well,
doubling your shift. It's not be
and you
prepared to get off a couple hours late.
God dang, bro.
Yeah. They tell
That's
you
wild.
before you get out the academy, make sure you always have extra clothing in your car. Make sure you have
Oh,
enough food because there's no going outside for lunch. You're locked down just
oh,
like they are. You cannot take in your
oh,
cell phone, so there's no outside contact. Yeah. So you come in with your lunch. You come in with a lunch bag that has all your snacks, all your fluids, everything you need. You know,
wow.
once you get used to the facility and know who's who, then you figure out, oh, who's ordering. You may want to order something, or you get together with a
Right.
group of
Mhm.
officers and they get down to the operator and have them call the order in, and whoever the roundsman is, he can go and use the van and pick up the food and bring it to you and things like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me
Well,
just say right
I
now,
yeah, I wanna get into more, but I think we could just move on to the mental health part. No, I'm
just
trying
right
I'm like,
now,
"Yo, that's wild, bro."
I
You
just want
need
to say
mental
thank
health
you
after
for
that,
your
right?
service.
Yeah, I
You
know.
do.
Could you
I
imagine
have
showing up to work being like 8 hours?
no,
Nah, you're gonna do a double today. Just that's
no.
what it is. Oh, look, no.
That's what, and I'm telling you, like, I feel like it takes a very special person to be in corrections, and I have always
Mhm,
said, like, when we had our what we call, our van that would come out and pick up our people that we had arrested out on the street, I would always treat them nice. Thank you so much. Do you need
mhm,
anything? Because they were doing a job that to me is above and beyond. It's
mhm.
wild the stuff, and no, you're cut off from the world. You get, and it's like, what? That's crazy. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Took a
Tyler,
lot of
go
getting
ahead.
used to. It took a lot of
Yeah,
getting used to.
Well, let me ask you, and I'm jumping ahead, but I'm
you're fine.
interested. What was your hold on, let me think about this thing. Your perception of corrections and then the reality of corrections. How were they different when you actually got in?
My perception of corrections, of course, was, what you see on TV. Um,
Yeah, I get it.
and some jails are like that. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
But when my uncle found out that I was actually preparing to go into the academy or take the test, he was like, he said, you sure you want to do this? Because the way my attitude was, I was a fighter. And he was like, what are you going to do if an inmate spits on you? You can't
Oh,
just fight. You just can't fight people.
Mm,
What are you going to do?
yeah,
mm,
When you're in the academy, when the drill sergeant is yelling in your face, what are you going to do? I
yeah,
was just like, I mean, I have to suck it up and do what I have to do because I'm there to get a job to take care of my children. I'm not
right.
gonna blow an opportunity because I may feel away,
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
going in to the prison system. First of all, the academy, they treat you like you're an inmate in the prison. If you kind of understand what I'm saying, like the whole
Yeah.
routine, and it was paramilitary. So it
uh-huh,
was the way we marched, the way we got our food in the mess hall. The inmates are
uh-huh.
serving us, mind you. Like the
Oh,
Mm,
so-called good inmates, those are the
mm-mm.
good jobs for them to work in the academy.
yeah,
They
No.
have good records. So they're
I see.
serving us. So it's like we're marching down the chow line to get our spork, slide down, get your food, like the whole routine. So our dorms had to be, the beds had to be made a certain way. Like they would have to be able to flip a quarter. Hangers had to be hung a certain way. It was whole paramilitary. Okay. So now when I get to the prison, my first day, week, or whatever you want to call it, is like, wow, they really treated us like inmates. Like you're seeing the whole schedule and how everything is moving, and it's like, okay, this is what we were doing. They were preparing
Yeah.
us, like
Yeah.
putting us in that position, so to speak, so we know how to deal
Wow.
with it. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you
So
that. I'm sorry, Ma. Hold on.
go ahead.
You were right. This is phenomenal, and I'm loving it. But do you mind if I call you Janelle? Sorry, I want the Southern
That's
guy in me
fine.
wants to call you Miss Thomas. I can't help it.
I know. Since I've been down here, it's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm old.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, no, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's just the Southern thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were talking about the good inmates or ones with good records. And let me just frame this question. When I got into law enforcement, I was, banking, retail, law enforcement was totally different. And it's hard to describe, and maybe you can do it better than I can. But you start to learn that just because somebody has committed a crime doesn't make them a bad person, as opposed to bad people who then commit crimes. Did you feel that? And maybe I'm doing a terrible job explaining it, but did you feel that when you got into the prison system, like, hey, this dude just caught a bad luck, or he just made a mistake, as opposed to this is a bad person?
Um, I definitely felt that, but also at the same time, you know, I can't really judge anyone or trust anybody off of face value,
That's
you
fair.
know?
Yeah.
And also, because of the simple fact, like I said, I'm not perfect. I've done some things in my teenage years. I could have been behind the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what separated me from the other officers that put on a uniform and abuse their authority, or put
Okay.
that uniform on and,
Mm.
they all of a sudden they felt like they were Superman and they couldn't be touched.
Mm.
I treat them as people because that's what they are at the end of the day. And I
Right.
always have respect. Um,
Yeah.
I've never had anyone assault me or attempt to throw anything on me because
Wow.
I just had that rapport. I was good at building rapport because I'm
And
gonna talk to you the way I'm gonna talk to somebody in a lack of words in the street. I'm from the hood. I'm gonna talk to you the
yeah,
same way. So we're gonna bond the same way,
yeah.
you know?
Real
Mhm.
quick, and Mo, and I'm sorry, I'm stepping on you, and I
You're fine.
apologize. But Janelle, same thing for me. I always told everybody I'm nice until it's time to not be nice, and that's just how
Right.
I dealt with it. But
Exactly.
I want to kind of clear the record because, and maybe you could speak to it. Were the female prisons any less violent than the male prisons?
No. Mm-mm. Like I said,
I
I
think
I
people,
worked in
I think people have this perception, and I'm like, nah, man.
They do. They do. They're
Yeah,
like, "Oh, it's the women's prison."
nah.
No, the women's maximum, you have all classes of
Mm-hmm.
criminals.
Yeah,
They're in a max for a reason.
yeah,
Yeah.
You
yeah,
got Granny over here that looked like she wouldn't hurt a fly, but you
yeah,
find out that she done did some stuff. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
and she just as
yeah.
pleasant. It's like, how you doing, Miss Thomas? Listen,
Nah, I know what you did.
you know.
That is funny.
Sorry,
Mhm.
Mo.
That's a
Sorry.
good point. No, that's a great point to make because I think people do have a false sense of,
Yeah.
oh, you worked in the women's prison, so it's not no. I
Mm,
feel like in my opinion that women sometimes can be worse than men because they don't necessarily have some of the chivalry and some of the rules of engagement that men kind of follow. Women just it's all bets are off sometimes.
It's women are more emotional. That's the problem.
okay.
Ah,
Okay.
that's true.
We react on emotion.
100%. She's right.
W-
Yeah.
We do a lot of crying and a lot of emotional stuff. So it's like when they're emotional and they're angry at the same time, it's like anything happens. Like you said, all bets are off.
All bets are off. That is a good point that I never thought of. The emotion wrapped in there with the anger, it's just,
Well,
now I'm
Mo, I told
invincible.
yeah, Mo, I've told you this before, but when you're interviewing or interrogating a female victim or a suspect, not victim, suspect, and they're crying and they're putting on this whole thing, and I'm like, your tears mean nothing to me. I know what you did. And then you see the whole demeanor change. I'm like, there you are. And the whole personality changes. I was like, you ain't gonna do
Mhm.
that to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I just wanna go back for a minute 'cause, foolish me, in your academy, it was a live-in academy?
Yes, for 8 weeks.
Oh. Oh,
We
okay.
went home on weekends, like, whatever we learned for the week,
Mhm.
um, like I said, it was boot camp. We had
Yeah,
PT early in the
okay.
morning. I was in the lowest group because I ain't work out in years, so I had PT twice a day. I had PT early in the morning and in the afternoon.
Dang.
Lord. You're like, "I'm good."
So, whatever we learned during the week, we would take an exam on Friday. Depending on if
Okay,
you pass that exam, they allow you to take it twice. If you passed it, you go home on that Friday, you come back on Sunday.
okay. If you
Now, if
didn't?
you failed an exam twice, you don't come back.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay.
Okay.
They allow you 2
Okay.
tries to take, each exam.
Got it,
Mhm.
got it. Very interesting. So,
Mhm.
okay, let's back up. So you get to your first prison and you are in their training program, is that how it works?
On the job training. Mhm.
Okay.
Your
Wait, does that mean
OJT.
so you have a field training officer with you or you're just they're like, "Here's your keys,
Yes.
good luck?"
Yes. Yeah, you
Oh,
have a field training officer with you, but
okay.
you know how it is to be the new kid on the block. You're
Yeah,
Hmm.
gonna have some of them officers that will disappear on you to see
oh,
how you
wow.
handle yourself or what you're gonna do. Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But you're supposed to have a field training officer with you most of the time.
Interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
And how long is that
Mhm.
portion of the training before they say, "All right, Officer Thomas is ready to be completely solo"?
I wanna say on the job training was I wanna say 30 or 60 days, I'm not sure. But you're on
Okay.
probation for a whole year.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and he kind of touched on it, but I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper. In the academy with you, I know it was you had to do the physical preparation. So you said you were training twice a day. Um, Mentally, you had drill instructors that were kind of taxing. How were you able to shift mentally from being someone who was working a regular job, you had kids, you had all these things, to now you have somebody, like you said, you had a your uncle was concerned, but you have somebody yelling and screaming in your face and checking your bed and turning it over. How were you able to emotionally and mentally adjust for that?
In my mind, I thought about my kids. Like I
Oh,
said,
okay.
this was a career. This was about, okay,
Mhm.
this is 8 weeks. I could get through this. I could get through this
Yeah,
for 8 weeks so I can start a career and establish something for my family,
yeah,
you know? Don't think I
yeah.
wasn't
So you
upset
have that.
a lot of days because I was. When we were finished with classes for the day at 5 o'clock or 4:30, whatever time it was, and we were able to take our phones and
Yeah,
go call our loved ones outside and talk. Oh, I vented.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I just got through it.
yeah. Once you came
Mhm.
into the prison and you were doing your training with were you having that similar treatment with the FTOs, or is it a little bit different once you kind of make that transition?
It's a little different. Like I said,
Gotcha.
being the new kid on the block, you always have those senior officers that want to act like they don't really want to even talk to you. They just look at you like you're dirt on the floor. Like, let's see how long they're gonna be here until they see what you're made of and they see that you can handle yourself. Then they love
Right.
you after that. It's like
Yeah.
they like welcome you in. Now you're a part
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
family type of thing. Mhm.
Was there a
That
lot of
part.
turnover?
Hmm?
Was there a lot of turnover?
Um, yeah. Not as far as people getting fired, but the academies they run pretty frequently. So it's so many jails, so many prisons that New York State has. Like you're always gonna have people coming through OJTs, even if they're not staying there. They might come
Mm.
there for a little while and then they get shipped. to their next facility, just like how
Okay.
I ended up at Fishkill at first, and when it was my time, I got shipped out, and it's like a revolving door. More new officers are coming through, and people being transferred and things like that. Mhm.
Are there a lot of officers that actually leave the profession though, or do they have a pretty good retention with that part of it?
They have a pretty good retention.
Okay.
If people leave, like I said, to get into one of these careers, whether it's New York State or New York City,
Hmm.
we know that's a longevity career.
Right.
You know, you're gonna
Yeah.
retire, you're gonna have benefits. So for someone to just leave, it's probably because maybe they have some other things going on with themselves or something with
Hmm.
family, or they can't handle it. It
Yeah.
wasn't for them, and they chose to maybe
Yeah.
change a career, try a new career path, or they
Yeah.
were just knuckleheads and got fired for something stupid, you know?
Hmm.
That's funny. It's so interesting because the prestige that New York has when it comes to their corrections and their law
Hmm.
enforcement, both sides of the house, is very interesting because with here in Florida, there I would say there used to be a bit of prestige when it came to going to the street. People came there and they worked and they retired, but our jails had a lot of turnover. It was always kind of a entry people would go into the jail because they wanted to go to the street or they wanted to go somewhere else. So
Mhm,
that's very interesting to hear. Like the prestige that New York has is just very interesting.
mhm,
Tyler, you have something to add?
No, I'm just uh, Mo, because you understand and but listen to what she's saying. They're going through the same stuff that you go through in any other state, but
Yeah.
the effort that it takes to get in
Yeah.
makes it worth it almost, right? Instead of having the
Yeah.
high turnover that you're experiencing or hearing about, they don't have that.
Yeah.
mhm,
I
Super
don't know.
interesting.
Food for thought.
Yeah.
mhm.
So you leave Fishkill after 3 months, and that's where you land in Bedford Hills at that point?
Yes. Mhm.
Now, do you, how with your career at Bedford Hills, did you promote as a supervisor? What was kind of your career track while you were there?
Well, my focus was to basically learn every part of the jail
Okay.
Mhm.
so that I can say, okay, I can work, any part of the jail pretty much. And, of course, with time, when you get that seniority, you want the cushy jobs?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to learn every part so I could go and say, let me work in classification. Let me sit down most of the day on some days. Not every day, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
we had a medical building. It's like, okay, I want to work in a medical building with the AC all day, all
Yeah.
year long. I don't want to be
Mhm.
walking around outside in the heat when it's summertime
Oh,
with the cement walls
wow.
and with the inmates. I don't want to
Yeah.
suffer like
Yeah.
everybody else. But yeah, my goal was to pretty much learn every part of the jail.
Hmm.
Once you see an area that you feel comfortable with, if it's up for bid, then you
Yeah.
bid for it. And
Okay.
you'll be bidding with other officers, and depending on seniority, that's who gets the bid.
Hmm.
Um, I learned later on throughout the years that my passion was for mental health. That still is my passion.
Hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
I did go back to school and get my associates and my bachelor's in criminal justice. Um,
Okay.
I was supposed to go back for my master's in mental health counseling. I have not done that yet, but I still have the passion to do so.
Yeah.
So I ended up with a bid where I worked with a mental health housing unit for 3 years.
Okay. Okay.
And
Well, Mo,
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry,
Tyler.
and I might be jumping in. I'm sorry, and Mo, Mo keeps us on track. But when you're talking about cushy or not cushy, but maybe less uh, awfulness. I don't know how to phrase it
Yeah.
because you
Less
had some.
inmate contact.
There you
How's
go.
that?
Less inmate contact. There you go.
Yes.
How
Mhm.
did that with the high profile inmates, and we could either name some of the ones that you remember or not. I just how were they treated differently or were they separated or how did the corrections facility handle that?
Um, with the high profile inmates, they were not treated differently at all.
Okay. All right. Good.
Um, the only way they may have segregated them or separated them is if like they had like a what's the word? Uh,
An
um,
accomplice, co-conspirator.
yes, if they had a
Okay.
co-defendant, or like
Okay.
if
Okay.
they had somebody that they may have had an issue with, like within transit from different facilities, they may have fought or something like that. So they may
Yeah.
separate
Oh.
and make sure that they're not in the same housing unit. But other than that,
Mhm.
once you go through classification, you're in general pop.
Really?
So it's not
Everyone
like
else.
TV where they're getting special meals and they have a
Mm-mm,
queen size bed and a couch.
absolutely not. Mm-mm, no.
Well, I gotta be honest,
That's
that makes me feel
interesting.
better. Good.
I know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I
Good.
have to say, because I expected that there would have been some discerning, especially if someone is well known and not to say the people, when I say well known, not the people who were, this person was a normal person until they committed their crime and their crime is what made them famous. I mean, like there are people who have been famous before, go to jail. So
Uh-huh.
that's interesting to hear. Some
Huh.
interesting to hear. Are
Uh-huh.
you are you able to talk about some of the, because that's the other thing I think that is unique to New York, because you have that population of some people who are famous,
Uh-huh.
that do bad things and land in jail, just like
Right.
the regular
Uh-huh.
people, like you're saying. Some of
Uh-huh.
the people that were in the jails when you were there?
Well, like I told you, I am no longer working with the Department of Corrections, so
Mm,
I can speak to an extent. I wouldn't like, overindulge because
right.
No,
of course,
no,
I
of
definitely
course.
don't want it, to come back to me like a whole
Of
big thing.
course.
But
Yeah.
um, like I said, we had the rapper Remy Martin. She was there.
Mm, hmm.
Um,
And
she
treated
was
just like everybody else, nothing
just like
special?
everyone else, nothing
Yeah,
special.
it's more that point I'm trying to make, not
Yeah.
necessarily like, oh, what were they like, and that
Mhm.
is not really.
Mhm.
They're famous, right? We know who they are. It's more.
Mhm.
You kind of already answered it, but
Mhm.
I'm interested. Happy to hear that they were treated like everyone else.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-mm. They
Again,
may
Because
that's
I
not
would
have
my
say
liked
I,
ignorance. I
it,
don't know.
but it was what it was,
Yeah, no,
you
I'm
know?
just
yeah.
good.
'Cause I think that goes along with the perception. Again,
Mhm.
these people are treated different when they go to jail. Like you said, they have a condo suite, or they have a couch or
Mhm.
something like that. They don't actually deal with regular prison life. So,
Mm-mm.
good to
Nope,
hear.
you got cleaning assignments just like everyone else at the end of the day.
That's
Good.
great. So you touched on it, that mental health became your passion in
Yeah.
jail. Was that something you were passionate about before entering the jail, or once you were in the position and you were starting to interact with inmates, did you identify it as something that you felt like that you felt that calling at that point?
Yes, once I worked in the prison and I started to, um, engage with different personalities and, different
Mhm.
people and noticing how much mental health is like really out there, not really knowing, that's when I took an interest into it. Hmm.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And
Hmm.
with in the jail, I know, like me personally working on the street, we saw a lot of people who had mental health problems, and the law enforcement arm became the catch-all because we just didn't have mental health facilities for these individuals. Were you seeing similar situations where these weren't people that should have been necessarily jailed? They had mental health issues that were going either unmanaged or um, things like that?
Um, yes, I can, feel that way, but at the same time, I'm not the judge. I can't judge them on what they did, but
Right.
by trying to get to know someone's story, if I could say, because like I said, we
Hmm.
don't know if they're telling you the truth or not. So you can't take
Right.
everything face value. So
Right.
let's say from
Yeah.
what I'm seeing or the rapport that I'm building with this particular person, working with them
Hmm.
over the past couple of years, day in, day out, seeing this person is like certain things that they probably have been exposed to as a child play a part
I
into
see.
their behavior and the things that they
Yeah.
did. And
Yeah.
like you said, the mental health not being managed at all, because I mean, let's just put it this way, in our generation, families
Yeah.
didn't take their family members to go see a psychologist, or they didn't believe in, oh, medication. It was like a lot of things was swept under the rug. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this happened, what happens here stays here type of thing. And oh, we'll
Yeah.
work with it in house. Oh, nothing's wrong with you. Oh, stop acting like that, you're acting crazy.
Right.
But now look where mental health has, how far it has came. That
Yeah.
people are saying, well, these are things that needs to be looked into. you know
Yeah.
if
For
this
sure.
person was on medication, and or you know going through some type of therapy at that time, maybe things would have been different. So
Right.
it's about I think
Right.
it's about the generation as well.
Yeah. I can
Hmm.
understand that.
Mhm.
With and I want to clarify too, because I think it's important and you kind of touched on it, but when you're building rapport with people and trying to get their story, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm trying to figure that out to absolve the person of whatever crime they've committed. It's
Uh-huh.
just a matter of sometimes knowing that backstory can give you an ability to better set that person up for
Uh-huh.
success in the jail and then once they exit the jail in many cases. So
Uh-huh.
building off of that, you were part of, or did you create, and you can clarify, a program that was a mental health based program in, was it Bedford Hills?
Yes, in Bedford Hills. I did not create the program.
Hmm.
I bidded the housing unit. So
Okay.
I was a part of the program, for immediate care. It's called an immediate care program, ICP, which it was for, one side was like general pop of the unit, and the other side was like mental health, where
Okay.
these inmates needed help with daily living skills and learning how to be in general population.
Oh, okay.
If you understand what I'm saying. So
Yep.
it's like
Okay.
once they had different programs during the day, every day. Um, they had someone come help them cook, learn how to cook and things like that, so that they can be productive members of society when they do leave the unit
Yeah.
to go in general population. They can survive on their own when they leave the prison officially,
Right.
things like that. Mhm. We had meetings,
And
with the mental health staff on the unit with the inmates as well, and they also made us a part of that, the officers, so we could
oh,
engage and
okay.
put our input in, like, do you see an improvement with this person, or, what is it that they're doing or they need help with, so that we could collab. They gave us that
Yeah.
room. Mhm.
That's awesome. Was
Mhm.
there a psychiatrist or a psychologist that was also in that mental health group so that if the person needed medications and things like that, they could prescribe to them?
Yes. Mhm. Mhm.
That's very, so it was an entire collaboration with arm of the having the law enforcement or the officers that were involved with them, the inmate themselves, a
Uh-huh.
psychology or a
And the
mental health
mental health
team
team.
for them.
Mhm. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. That's very, very interesting and unique. What are, and we've talked about this before
Mhm.
when we're talking about turning people and putting them back into the world. We've gone back, me and Tyler have had a discussion about there's certain crimes that we just don't feel like people should get out. But the ones where people are able to exit the prison system, what are
Mhm.
your thoughts on how our current system is with actually setting people up so that for success when they leave?
Well, that would vary state to state, honestly,
Okay.
because
Okay.
um, what I notice here in Florida, there's not a lot of mental health programs.
Mm.
Um, where I come from, um, you have a counselor or your case manager, social worker, like if you're in an inpatient type of environment. They're
Okay.
supposed to help you prepare, so to
Hmm.
speak. So they're supposed to do some of the legwork for you to help you get
Hmm.
into certain programs, or to set you up with treatment when you leave. Um,
Hmm.
Now, when you leave, that's up to you to do what you're supposed to do. But I think those need to be in place before they leave to set them up
Yeah.
for success. And
Yeah.
a lot of prisons don't offer that, and they don't do that.
Yeah.
And that was the next side of my career. My last year in corrections, I was a counselor in a men's prison.
Oh,
In the
and
I did classification. So it was like when they came in, I had to interview them, um, find out what their strengths were, um, the reason why they were in prison. So I had to enroll them in different courses that's supposed to help them and set them up
mhm,
for success, you know?
mhm. That's interesting.
Mhm,
Did
mhm.
you once so you interviewed them as they came in? Was there any exit interview process that was done to see, um, whether or not what you had set them up for was a successful plan for them?
Yes, there were definitely exit interviews. I just never got to witness that while I was there.
Got it.
Um,
Okay.
I had a big caseload because, like I said, it was a classification prison. It was downstate correctional facility, which they
Okay.
have closed down now over the past couple of
Oh,
years.
okay.
And yeah, it was actually right next door to Fishkill. So,
Oh,
um, so it's like once they get there, they do everything they need to do in classification, they get housed,
mhm,
and then I'll get a caseload. So whoever's on my
got it.
caseload, I have to, call them, call the housing unit, get them to my office, sit down with them, interview them, and pretty much do like an intake. And I have to type up a report to send to the judge and things like that.
Mhm,
So they know this is
yeah,
what their program is going to be consistent of and what they're going to be doing, what they're supposed to be doing in order to complete the program or get a time cut or things like that. Hmm.
yeah.
Miss,
Hmm.
how long were you in the correction system?
16 and a half years.
And did you retire? Was that retirement status or?
I was supposed to retire at 25 years, but I had took a medical disability retirement.
Mhm.
Over the course of all the years, of course, wear and tear on the body. Um, my back is a major issue, and I was on workers' comp, and my doctor told me that either I stay for the 9 years or I'm gonna end up in a wheelchair.
Oh,
So I'm like, I'm kind of young. I had to make a
Yeah, I'd rather
decision.
not.
Yeah, I had to
yeah,
make a decision like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Even though I had a good bid where I didn't
yeah,
have as much inmate contact, but if I got mandated, I don't have a choice where I work. I can
Yeah,
be sent to a
yeah,
housing unit, something may happen. Now I'm, having to get into something with an inmate and an officer and take somebody down or whatever the case may be. I could get hurt
yeah.
further in the
yeah.
process. So I just had to make a decision. And I
I
did that.
that was a leading question only because there's a
Mhm,
lot, Mo and I had talked about that before. Not necessarily the medical part, but, you see a lot of agencies now try to extend to 25 and even 30 years before retirement, and I'm like,
mhm,
these people again, this is not a gripe session, but you're gonna break people's bodies down
mhm,
Yeah,
unless you have a way for them to transition into something,
mhm.
that doesn't cause so much wear and tear. So I just
Right.
you're not the first person I've talked to
Mm,
about these things where it's like, yeah, I did 15, 16. There's a few that were like, I did 18 years, but after 2 bouts of cancer, 3 slip disc, a knee replacement, I couldn't do it anymore. I had to take a medical. It is almost like sometimes they feel bad, like, oh, I didn't make it. But I'm like, dude, doing
mhm,
this job for 10, 15, 20, your body's broken.
yeah,
And I was on the street for 8, 9 years, something like that, and
mhm,
my hips, my lower back, my neck, all that, but then I went to the Fed side, not that I didn't work in it, but it's just different. You're not wearing all the gear, you're not doing the same hours, and it took maybe
mhm.
a year, and I was like, "Oh, I feel better."
yeah.
Mhm.
I could sleep, and I have a
Yep.
normal schedule, yeah.
And I
That's
actually
funny.
felt that way. I did kind of feel bad. It was like,
See? Yeah,
like you said, like you feel like you didn't make it, but I'm
yeah,
like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I've had knee surgery on both knees. I've had a shoulder
yeah,
Oh,
surgery.
wow.
I have
see?
back
Oof.
issues. They're
Yeah.
talking about doing laser. They want me to look into laser for my back, and I'm just like, I don't want to. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna have any
Maybe just
limbs
to,
if I stayed. If I would have stayed, I wouldn't
yeah.
have had any limbs. Okay?
No.
So,
Yeah.
and again, Janelle, that's the kind of part of Street Tales is we're humanizing
Uh-huh.
behind the badge. Again, it's not for anyone to feel sorry or it's none of those things, but it's just a lot of people who are not in the are not first responders. They typically just see the uniform or the badge. That's all they see. They don't
Uh-huh.
understand the person behind it, and they don't want to
Right.
hear any of your stories. They don't care. They don't give a shit because they have
Mhm.
their built-in perception.
Right.
So I appreciate your honesty and I appreciate you
Uh-huh.
talking about these things. They are uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's very important that we have these conversations. And again, we started this a couple years ago, and I think it's just as important then, if not more now, with all the stuff going on in the news and things like that. Again, we don't get into politics on this show or anything like that, but
Uh-huh.
it's like this is still a noble, brave profession. And Mo and I have talked about it in previous episodes. Like, shame on us. We didn't know a lot of corrections people, even though we worked with them all the time, almost every day.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And shame on us. That's shame on us.
For sure.
The other aspect of that is dispatchers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We don't have a lot of those either,
We're
but
all, we're all a team. We're all a team.
yeah,
Right.
100.
So
Because that, like I said earlier, the job that you did and the wear and tear that it puts on your body is something that I would not have even begun to be able to wrap my brain around. So that's why I was always very like this is not we when it's not a job to be looked down on. It is a job that is a profession. It is a job
yeah,
that is
Mhm.
just as difficult as law enforcement on the street or being a firefighter or any of those other jobs. And it's just listening to you tell. I'm just sitting here listening to you tell about the different things that you had to do, all the different you know things you had to submit to. It's just
yeah,
very, very interesting to me that I was unaware of, completely unaware of. So
Uh-huh.
I want to
I
yeah.
touch
Mo,
on one
appreciate you
thing.
real
guys.
quick.
I appreciate you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah,
for seeing us, you know?
No,
yeah,
for
'Cause
sure. And
Mhm.
Mo, just think about what Janelle said.
yeah,
I'm a mother. I have 2 children, and I want to provide for my kids.
yeah.
And then I'm a corrections officer, right? Where
Mhm.
somebody who might run into on the street, be like, "Oh, you just work for law enforcement, f you," but whatever their thoughts might be, if they're skewed.
Right.
It's like, no, I'm a mother. I'm trying to provide for my family, and I'm trying to. And
Yeah.
to your point, you even said, "I'm not here to cast judgment. I'll talk to you nice, and I'm not here to look down on you or abuse my."
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you were doing it the right way.
Mhm. Thank you.
Amazing. So
Anyway,
I have one other question on the mental health piece, and then we'll move to something else. But did that? I know when you enter in, a lot of times we have these, rose-colored glasses as to what we think things are like, and then you get in there and you said you realized some of your thought process evolved to the mental health side because of the inmates and things that you were seeing. Did it change your perspective on in incarceration and rehabilitation and how it was done, or did you think at the time the facilities you were working in, they hadn't that kind of worked out, the rehabilitation and the incarceration portion worked out pretty well?
It definitely wasn't worked out.
Okay,
Um,
that's fair.
um, rehabilitation is definitely key. And
Okay,
if they're not getting the proper rehabilitation or the proper programs are not in place, um, I don't see it working.
right.
But that's also dependent on the individual as well because they have to want to do the
Of
work.
course.
They
yeah.
have to
Mhm.
want to, bring the recidivism rate down,
Mhm.
Mhm.
they have to
Yeah,
want to not come back to prison. So,
yeah,
Well, let me
but
I
I
let me say
totally
did,
agree
this,
with that.
Oh, go ahead.
like
Oh,
incarceration, like you said, there's certain people that you feel like certain crimes they shouldn't be coming out of prison at all. Um,
Nope.
the ones that deserve a second chance, um, the rehabilitation will definitely work. We definitely need
Yeah,
more of it. We need more of it.
got it,
They're
got
so
it.
definitely
Jeanette,
lacking,
yeah.
and there's some kinks and things that need to be worked on. Mhm.
No, for
That's
sure.
fair.
And let me
Mhm.
let me say this: we've had people on the other side of the law. I mean, we bank robber. organized retail theft mastermind,
Mhm.
overdosed twice. My buddy who used to slang dope back in the day.
Mhm.
So, but these are friends of mine, right?
Mhm.
Like these are people I went to college with, and so they were able to rehabilitate themselves, and in many cases, they're wildly more successful.
Mhm.
So it can happen, it can
Mhm.
occur, and I love those stories.
Mhm.
And again, we don't glorify criminality on this podcast by any stretch, but it's a part of the human condition, right?
Right. Mhm.
To your
Yeah.
point, you're one or two mistakes away from being on the other side.
Yeah.
I think we all
Now
kind of had a
Right.
listen,
misstep or two.
yeah,
Exactly. It was like,
listen.
whew.
I could have
Whew, I
zigged when
made
and
it.
so I could have zigged instead of zagged, and that we'd be
There
having a
you
different
go.
conversation.
Exactly.
I just had one
Oh.
question. You talked about having
Mhm.
kids and being in this
Mhm.
law enforcement field, and you said
Yeah.
you had two kids when you came into it. Um,
Mhm.
do you know what their perspective of you being in the law enforcement world, being a correctional officer? That's part one of the question. Part two, do you think it ever created any emotional strain or safety concerns when it came to your family or mental health toll when it came to essentially what was the impact you think on your family, good or bad?
Um, my kids, now that they're older, my son is 29 and my daughter's 23. So now
Okay.
that they're older, they appreciate the structure that I had.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, being who I was, just being a strong single mother and the stock I came from my family, that was always there. But being an officer and
Right.
the structure that I had, it just made it a little worse.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
when
Mm.
when they were younger, they used to say, "Oh, mom is crazy. Like this job got her crazy." Like we laugh about it now. They talk about it. They're like, "Man, you were crazy. You used to come home and do cell searches, like you're doing room searches and." Man, when my
Oh.
son got to a certain age and when my daughter got to a certain age, like especially around that 16-year-old age and
Mhm.
Hmm.
thinking you're gonna hide things, I used to check the garbage
Mhm.
pails and find things, and they're not expecting me to do that, you know?
Yeah.
So
Oh
there is
my
a good
goodness.
side and a bad side, you know? That
Of
was kinda
course.
like the
Oh,
bad side of it, but the good side is that they do appreciate the structure that I had and they understand. They do understand
right.
now why and why it was like, okay, some of these inmates, they are from the 5 boroughs, they are from the inner city, we may run into them. Um, I happen to
Oof.
live next door to one.
Oh,
Oh, whoa.
that was my
She re
nightmare. That was my nightmare.
she remembered me, but I didn't remember her.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
it's
even
worse.
worse. That's
Yeah,
worse.
so I had to look her up immediately when I got back to work. I had to look her up.
Oh my
So
gosh.
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
she had a minor crime. No kind of,
Okay.
killing or pedophile type of thing or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But she had a little son. He was so adorable.
Oh. Oh.
My daughter wanted to play with him all the time. She was, like, in elementary school at the time, and I was like, "Michaela,
Right.
we can't. You can't play with him."
Mm-mm.
She was like, "But
Yeah.
why?"
Mm-mm.
It was just like, with my job, they're in your business so much.
Right.
Like, you
Yeah.
cannot fraternize with any parolees or,
Mm-mm.
I had to report it to my dep that, "Hey, I do have an ex-inmate that lives next door to me," just in case
Wow.
if she decided to say, "Well, hey, let me call the jail and say, oh, me and Miss Thomas hung out, or we had a glass of wine, or we were chilling, or something like that." No, we didn't chill.
Yeah.
I didn't hang out with you because I could lose my job,
Yeah.
even if
Yeah.
you're not on paper anymore as a parolee. I'm
Yeah.
not supposed to have any contact with you. So I
That's
had
I
to
wild.
love
explain
that.
that to my kid, like, you can't play with him. And, when we saw them, of
Yeah.
course, it was just like, hi and bye. She
Yeah.
wanted to sit outside and talk, and when I saw her pull in
Mm-mm.
the driveway, if I happen to be outside, I gotta go because we don't
Yeah.
even want you to think that this is the kind of party we're having.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mo,
That's
I can't
so
even
interesting.
imagine living next door. I've only ever had that happen to me twice. Once as a deputy, once as a trooper. And
Mhm.
both times I was with my kids, and I heard someone go, "Hey, Dep." The only people who say Dep
Mm,
are not, yeah. And I turned
mm-mm.
around and I said, "Hello," and I grabbed my kids and I was like, "I hope you're good." He looked better. He goes, "Oh, I'm doing great. Awesome. I gotta
Exactly.
go. Now we can't go to that
Exactly.
grocery store no more.
We're done there now.
Never going there again.
And that's
Get in the
exactly
Nope.
car."
what happened to me. I just grabbed my
Yeah.
daughter like,
Oh
okay.
shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
Yeah. That's wild though. Um,
Mhm.
so I
Damn.
want to get I know we're getting close to the times, but
Yep.
I want to touch on before we're done, your transition now to the position that you're doing with the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, that
Mhm.
you took that mental health passion that you have and now you've turned it into what you're doing there. Can you tell me
Mhm.
a little bit first about your position and then tell me what drew you to coming all the way here to Florida to do that?
Well, like I said, it was the medical retirement, and it was like, okay,
Mhm.
I have 2 degrees. I can go anywhere and find a job. And I was like, okay, I want to be a civilian. you know,
Yeah.
um, I'm like, I have a lot of family here. This is my dad's side of
Mhm.
the family in Florida.
Okay.
I'm like,
Okay.
it's warm. I don't want to deal with the cold anymore, the
Not
shoveling
right
of the
now, it's not.
snow and all of that stuff. So it was like, let me just come down here. And I actually tried to get back in law enforcement.
Okay.
That I didn't want to land where I'm at. Because that's also another thing. Trying to transition out of that, it was hard. Like I still miss the
Yeah.
Yeah,
camaraderie. I miss
Yep.
my prison family, you
I
know.
get it.
It was good days, it was bad days. We had fun a lot of days,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Our children grew up with each other. We seen our kids grow up with each other, things like that. So I definitely
Yeah.
tried to get back into law enforcement just as a civilian. I didn't want to be an
Right.
officer, and they
Right.
saw me, I guess, as a liability. I guess
Oh,
when they did my background and saw that I had, a medical disability or, you know,
got it.
all these workers' comp cases, they were like, "Oh, we don't need her."
Right.
Even to be a probation officer, I tried
Oh,
to get into
wow.
that and they wouldn't even take me. I
Got
always
it.
get through everything, interviews, well, but once the background comes back, they're like, uh-uh. And I know I did
Yeah.
nothing wrong. I've never been to
Right.
prison.
Yeah.
Don't use
I can tell
drugs.
you right
So,
now, you would be a great probation officer. I can tell
Yeah.
you that right now. And again, this is just our conversation. I worked with
mhm,
them quite a bit. So anyway,
mhm.
that's a sidebar.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was my next path. That's what I was trying to do. But
Right.
Yeah.
that's, when I came here, I was trying to get back in law enforcement. It didn't work. And
Okay.
I had a few jobs down here. I ended up in medical for some reason, working as a front desk. Never had any experience in that, but they hired me to do that. I did that for
Right.
about 3 years. And then I happened to be going through some struggles here myself in Florida.
Okay.
And around Milton, I happened to call 211 because I needed some assistance.
Okay.
I had no clue that and I was actually living in the area. I had no clue that that was the building there
Oh,
that
Oh,
wow.
I would end up working in, you
Right.
know? It was like I was out of work for a while after Milton, and my daughter was pregnant. I was like, "You know
Right.
what? Maybe I'll just sit home for a while." My pension finally kicked in. It took 3 years for that to happen.
Oof.
oh, yep. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, which was the cause
Should
of,
not.
a lot of my struggles
Yeah.
down here, was monetary, and
Of course.
I ended up dealing with evictions and being homeless, living in my car for 2 months with my family. So
That's
Dang.
wild.
See, that's wild, bro.
You should
but I had
not
a car.
be
I had a car. I mean, not I had a car. We all had jobs, so it was like nobody would know unless I would tell you. We went to
that's
work every
wild
day.
though.
Mhm.
Like, you
And that's
shouldn't have put your life on the line for 16 and a half years and then have to fight for your pension to the point where you land living in your car. That's insanity to me.
Mhm. Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Janelle.
I'm sorry. That just got me upset. I'm sorry.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, so it was like, I needed some assistance, and my care coordinator, which is who I am now, a care coordinator, I'm working with him to
Right.
this day.
That's
It
amazing.
was surreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once I applied, I did not know that that's where I was applying to. I saw the job
Right.
description on Indeed. I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go back to work. My daughter was getting ready to have the baby. She was like a month away from
Right.
having the baby. I was like, I'm just gonna apply.
Right.
And when I got in, I met my care coordinator and I just hugged him, you know?
Oh,
And I was just happy to be there.
yeah.
That's
So
a good story.
that's
Oh,
a
I'm sorry,
great
Mo.
story. No, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna step on you real quick, Mo.
Yep.
Janelle, I'm gonna move on from that what you just said because it's bothering me, but we're gonna push that for a second. I wasn't ready for that.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Uh-huh.
How did being in law enforcement affect your? I'm just gonna say relationships, but you could take that wherever, either your family, friends, or partner. Like, did you see an effect that it had? Wherever you want to take it, you don't have to.
I've always been very strong-minded. I
Mhm.
just corrections made it a little worse. I will say that. Um,
Well, did they have an issue because you were in corrections? I guess was the job like did the job define you in their eyes?
no, there was never an
Okay, well that's good.
issue that I worked in corrections. It was more or less making sure you don't bring it home, which I think I
Yeah.
did pretty
Well,
good with that outside of the, doing the room
the room
searches,
searches.
flipping the rooms and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I had to do that. I had teenagers living in the
Yeah.
five
Yeah, yeah,
boroughs. I had to let them know, like, listen,
yeah.
you're
It
not
ain't
getting
not my
over
house.
anything on me. Like, I had
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
let them know, and I had to do that. But
yeah.
Yeah.
it has affected me, I will say, as far as my anxiety. Um, Even still to this day, it's still like a transition for me being a civilian.
Okay.
I'm used to
Uh-huh.
being behind a wall. I'm not used to people walking around me all the time. It's
Yeah,
not funny, Tyler.
yeah. No, you're using terminology that I know, but
Yeah.
most people listening have never heard, and so that's why I'm laughing. But to
Mhm.
your point, having people walk around you, be around you,
So freely, I'm not used to that.
I'm very uncomfortable with that, and I
Mhm,
Mhm.
never was in the prison system, but it's
mhm.
still I
Y Yeah,
I don't know how to explain it because some people do that and they're like, "Oh, you're just being a douchebag or whatever," but I'm like, I don't
they
like
have no
people
clue
behind me.
because they haven't
No.
experienced it and they don't understand.
Mm-mm. No.
Right.
Like, to this day, my kids, they laugh at me, anybody really, they think it's funny. Like, we have a sectional, and I may be sitting at one end, and my daughter used to be at the other end, and I'll see out my peripheral, but you're still behind me, and I know it. So it's like
Yeah.
I'll look, and she'll just laugh at me like, "Ma, what's wrong?" Don't do that because
Yeah.
I don't find it funny. I don't like it. It bothers me. I don't like people
Right.
Yeah,
behind me. I really
Yeah.
don't.
my reflexes, you might catch an elbow, so you better watch
Yeah.
out.
You better stop
Exactly.
playing.
You better stop.
Exactly. So it has
Yeah.
affected me with, my anxiety as far as that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just so that people can understand, I wanted to go back to what the care coordination position that you're
Yeah.
Mhm.
in now. So people call 211 for various reasons to ask for help, and your job is to follow up with them and try to connect them with the places that they need, or connect them where they need to be connected so they can get out of whatever their situation is. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, if they are former or active first responders,
Hmm.
that specialist is going to give them some resources already, minimal resources, and
Hmm.
give them the follow-up if they are willing to accept the follow-up. Okay. And
Hmm.
once they receive the
Mhm.
follow-up from us, now we get to the meat and potatoes of their situation. Now we can talk to them for an extended amount of time and find out the
Right.
backstory, what's been going on, and offer the peer support We follow up with them if they want us to follow up with them. It can be 30, 60, 90 days. I'm going to call you at
Hmm.
least once a week,
Yeah.
and you have my
Ja-
direct line if you need to reach me.
Janelle,
Mhm.
let me ask you this, because we've had a few first responders on here that have talked about they didn't seek help till, well, in a couple instances, they literally had the gun out in their hand ready to do it. And they're like, let me make one call. My
Mhm.
question to you is this: is is that the only time you can call 211?
No,
Can, yeah. Can you give
no.
a little like feedback on that? Yeah. Elaborate.
Um, 211 has a wide variety of resources
Mm-hmm.
in the database. Whether it's for rental assistance,
Mm-hmm.
food pantry, shelters, cold weather shelters. Like I said, in the instance where I was homeless, if I didn't have a car, where could I have gone? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Utility assistance, mortgage payment
Yeah.
assistance, anything you think of,
That's awesome.
they have it
Yeah.
available. Now, are they going to have funding? That's something different when they call
Yeah.
these resources.
Right.
That's
Hmm.
fair.
Hmm.
But you follow up with them, like you said, up to 90 days, checking in them each week to find out if that resource didn't work out, then maybe there's somewhere else you can send them to.
Yes, I will offer them additional resources, or um, if I know of something, because
Right.
I share my story, you know,
That's
Yeah.
and
beautiful.
I let them know, like, hey, I've been there before, and as a first responder, it's hard for us to ask for help. We don't like to ask for
Yes.
help because we're so busy
Yes.
being that superhero for everyone,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we're trying to stop the stigma, of course, because
Yeah.
we're all human and life
Yeah.
happens. And if I know of something, I give them that knowledge. I'll give them that resource, like, hey, this is what I used, or this is replicable and it worked for me.
Right.
Hmm.
And I think that let me just with you sharing your story of being a first responder and your story of when you had to reach out to 211. God, that has
Mm-hmm.
got to be powerful and
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And I know you said earlier that this wasn't where you wanted to go. You wanted to get it, but thank God that this is where you landed, because I feel like you are impacting so many people with this story, Janelle. I'm just in awe.
Thank you. I didn't think that I was going to talk about it, but like when I spoke to you on the phone and I said, I'm an open book and this is my therapy and this is helping me. This is the part of my recovery story.
Yeah.
I don't talk about. I A few people know. Um,
Yep.
Right.
my coworkers, they know because of where I am, and it's a
Right.
trauma informed environment. So I
Mm-hmm.
share my
Yeah.
story. But to speak about it on a platform like this, I've never done it. I've
Well, thank you
never.
for trusting us with it.
So I didn't think I was gonna
I
go there,
tr
but I went there.
well,
But
I
look,
am
Janelle,
truly
you're not the
humbled.
only. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not the only one, and that's. I mean,
This is a part of fighting that
it's
stigma, though.
Mhm.
yeah. It still
This is a
bothers me
part of
that
my
that happened to
recovery.
you.
So I
Yeah.
have to. I can't be a hypocrite. I have to take a
Yeah.
step, like anybody else would. Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, through this podcast and just my own, again, I've been very blessed. I met Mo early in my career. My brother BJ, I had support. e- we didn't necessarily call it that when we were all hanging out and getting into
Yeah,
stuff, but
Mhm.
we did support each other and we could talk through
for
things.
sure.
Mhm.
And they didn't make me feel embarrassed or less than because
Right.
of shit I was going through.
Mhm.
So I was blessed in that regard.
Mhm.
But I am shocked and to hear what happened to you, one, and two, the stories I've heard over time, just people who 20, 30-year careers, whatever, and they're like, I was struggling. And to your point, they wanted to be the superhero. How can I be a superhero if I'm fucked up?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they will work out, they'll work 18-hour days, they'll sleep 2 hours for months on end, but
Mhm.
they won't take care of their mental health
Yeah.
Mhm.
because there's a stigma tied to it.
Yep.
Yeah. So
It's wild.
Wow.
I didn't start seeking a therapist until I was down here, maybe 2 years
Okay.
ago. I always
Mm,
knew I
Yeah.
needed it, and
Yeah.
it was like, "You know what?" Like,
Yeah.
my husband,
that's fair.
my husband makes jokes. He's like, "Since you left corrections, you got soft. Since we moved down here, you're just soft now." I'm like, "Well, I want the soft life now. I don't wanna be rah-rah all the
Yeah.
time. Like, I do wanna I came here to retire."
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah. It's exhausting to do what you did for 16 and a half years. You deserve to
Yeah.
Mhm,
to let your shoulders drop. That's just
mhm.
and I, like I said, I'm humbled that you came on our platform to share this story, but I know the people that are listening to our stories and that are coming back as our repeated listeners, they're getting something out of this. And I know that this story is going to resonate with someone. And so it's just one of those things that it's like you are opening doors that sometimes you have no idea. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So to respect your time, we're about an hour and 15 minutes into this, and I really appreciate hearing your story. I just wanted to, is there anything that you want to close out with telling, say, for instance, someone who's looking to go into corrections
Mhm,
and how they can do it better, how they can do it without some of the anxiety, how they can do it with better handling their mental health, and then also how can the individuals connect with the crisis center if they are at that critical point in their life.
okay, what I can say is anyone looking into going into any law enforcement career or corrections, go in with an open mind, um, be humble because it could be you or anyone in your family that could be facing the same type of situation. Have respect for yourself and others and be fair and consistent,
Yeah.
and don't take it home, you know,
Yeah.
don't take
Yeah.
the job home. If you need to talk to someone, talk to a family member or a friend, you know? It's hard to do that when they're not in the same shoes and they don't really understand, but, it's always good to get it out and have
Mm.
a listening ear, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And
Great
as far
advice.
as the hope line or just calling 211 if you need the assistance, don't be ashamed. I mean, it's easier said
Yeah.
than done. How I can say it is they can't see you on the phone, you know?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
gonna hurt you to call for information if you're struggling with something and you need assistance, whether it's for utilities or rent or your mental health. You gotta take care of
Yeah.
yourself.
For sure.
If you don't take care of yourself, you're not gonna be good for anyone else
Mm-mm.
or your family. And
Yeah.
it's very important. Mhm.
Well, I said it before, but I am humbled. I am thankful that I had the opportunity to serve on the Safer board with you and had the opportunity to meet you in that capacity. But now having the opportunity to to know you a little bit more today, thank you. I am absolutely humbled. Thank you for sharing your story.
You're
Tyler?
welcome. I appreciate the opportunity you guys gave me to be on this platform. Mhm.
Yeah, Janelle, I'll close it out, but I truly appreciate your story. I appreciate your time.
Mhm.
You can find information on the Hope Line by going to streettailsnetwork.com and our resource page, and also I'll have it in the description. I'm going to close it out. Janelle, don't go anywhere.
Okay.